All right, welcome back. Thank you for staying with Business Today right here on KTN News. Now, let's move on. The Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, has launched a country programming framework, CPF 2022 to 2026, that will guide the partnership between FAOKE and the government. Now, the SPF will also contribute to strengthening policies, institutions, and investments for agri-food systems transformation within the scope of the agricultural sector transformation and growth strategy and the food systems transformation pathways at the national and county levels. Now, the CS Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, CS Mithika Linturi, has stated the agri-food systems are today faced by many shocks, most of them attributed to the climate change phenomenon and pandemics like the COVID-19, and FAO has been on the forefront in working with the government towards transformation of the agri-food systems. All right, now we get to our conversation where we are talking about investing in a home, where we are looking at some of the factors that you need to consider when you're trying to own a home. And joining me is Daniela Nyakuraya, who is a housing unit manager at Safaricom Investment Corporation. Thank you so much for joining us on Business Today.
Thank you so much, Nyakundi, for having us.
All right, so let's get to the conversation, right into it. Let's start with the Asaco and a corporation. First of all, you're a Safaricom Investment Corporation. Just explain to us what this means, and then now we can at least understand what is the difference between a Asaco and a corporation.
Thank you. We are Safaricom Investment Cooperative. So how that came about is that there were some Safaricom employees. They had a bit of money. They wanted to save and invest in something. So they came up with the investment cooperative. So that's how we have Safaricom Investment Cooperative. We deal with land, housing products, and other investment products. But the difference now between a Asaco and an investment cooperative is that Asaco is a savings and credit organization. So it's a savings and credit cooperative. So they are limited because initially they were both the same, yeah? But then they had instances where people bought land, and the SACCOs bought land for their members, and a lot of money for their members was lost in that. And the basic reason why SACCOs exist is to lend credit and to also help people save. So there was a regulation body put in, it's called SASRA. So it was put in to ensure that SACCOs do what they're supposed to do. If then they want an investment arm, it's a different arm called an investment cooperative. So that's the difference essentially between a SACCO and a cooperative, and an investment cooperative. So if you want to invest, you're better off in the investment cooperative, but a SACCO gives you access to microfinancial solutions.
So when we look at a SACCO and a cooperative, what is the most, why would I want to just say, okay, I'm going with a cooperative instead of a SACCO?
Oh, the investment cooperative, maybe we would have to have the word investment cooperative because both are cooperatives. Yeah, the investment cooperative allows you to do that, just that, invest. Okay. So it can allow you to buy land. SACCOs don't do that. SACCOs are you save and you get credit. So you save and you get a loan. But investment cooperatives, you probably buy land through them. That's how you find that even for things like Safaricom, we have Safaricom SACCO and we have Safaricom Investment Cooperative because the government has regulated it in terms of that. So between choosing what you want to be in, whether it's a SACCO or an investment cooperative, it's essentially a question of what you want your money to do. Do you want to get access to money, or do you want to invest the money you would have?
All right. Yeah. Now let's move on. For example, everyone says one day I would want to own a home. Yes. What goes into owning a home or investing in a home? And can anyone invest in a home, first of all?
Can anyone invest in a home? That's a home. I think anyone can invest in a home because it just is a matter of you knowing what you can afford to invest in and then making that work for you. But essentially the factors to consider when you want to buy or to invest in a home would be things like, first of all, the location. What do you want? Where do you want this house to be? What do you want it to do for you? If you're maybe taking it as an investment product, then you want to look for somewhere where there's a lot of traffic, people looking for houses to rent. If you want it to be your own home to live in, then maybe you're looking at things like proximity to schools for your kids, proximity to hospitals, social amenities like malls, roads, infrastructure, security, such things. So those are the key factors you'd want to consider. Another thing I think is important for someone to consider, especially for Kenya in this growing economy, is the government's development frameworks. What's the government looking to do at that area? So let's say maybe you're looking for an investment unit. Let's say you're looking at areas around Nairobi. So is the government doing roads there? Is it doing power? Is it doing water? Because these, of course, open up the area to more developments and to more returns for you as an investor. Yes.
All right, and also let us look at also some of the requirements that maybe someone needs in order for them to own a home for themselves. For example, let's look at even personal. You want your own home. What are some of the requirements? Can you say it has to be someone who is employed? It has to be someone who has a way of getting income? So just take us through this so that at least we can get to understand what it means when you say, okay, I want to own a home for myself.
I think the first one would be land or access to land, basically. And this can be in terms of it's very flexible also in a way. There are those who have access to land, it may be ancestral. Yes. There are those who want to buy. There are those who want someone to buy and build for themselves. There are those maybe who want to buy a built house. So the first one is access to land, access to the product that you want. And I think another thing you need to be very sure about, especially if it's not a field. Of course, most homeowners are not in the business of building homes, yeah? It's something they're getting into with an end vision, yeah?
Yes.
So it's the due diligence you need to do on the back. So if you're maybe buying with someone, the cleanliness of their documents, whether they are registered, they've done this before, how often do they keep you updated? For example, for us at Safaricom Investments Cooperative, if you're in the business of selling land or maybe even doing a house, which you do both of for people, then we keep giving people updates. Like you would know this is how much you're doing with your money, this is when you need to make the next payment, this is how much the construction has gone, these are the approvals we have with the government. So if you want to also check that with them, you can do that. And I think that also builds a lot of trust, even for you as a homeowner or someone who's looking to buy into a home, you get a lot of trust. So a lot of due diligence on your part is also required as a homeowner, and also getting into partnership with people who you know will deliver for you. Because that has been a major issue in real estate, where you buy into something, be it land, then you go there's no land, or maybe a house, off-plan houses, it takes 5 years to develop the house. So yeah, those are some of the issues there.
All right, and also let's move on and look at the market, the space, the cooperative space, and what you've spoken about, especially when it comes to real estate. What would you say are the most products that people usually try to invest in, especially when you look at houses, when you look at real estate? What are many people these days buying into?
Okay, that's a really good question, and I think also with where I'm coming from, the institution I work for, with Safaricom Investments, we have a wide range of products, so it allows you to also analyze the market. So there are many products people look to buy into. There may be there may be land for prospective buying, where someone buys land, they have no intention of building on it or developing it, they're just buying for it to accumulate in value and then sell it off. Then there is land for building, and then there's also houses for both. So there's houses, they buy houses for owning, for living in, and houses as an investment product. Nowadays we have products like Airbnb, people come for short stays. If you're in a high place, if a place with high traffic, you want someone, like if they are coming to visit the country for 2 weeks, they can stay at your place. So those are some of the products that move a lot in the real estate market. I would also like to say that it depends also with where the person is, because you do notice maybe we may be buying land to build on, but then because of the amount of money we have in our pockets, we may go for different products. So there's also high-end products and low-end products, or maybe affordable products, and also maybe social products. So it's a balance of the whole myriad, and then you check what you can afford, so that you see which part fits for you. Yeah. And
also, you had spoken about due diligence. Let's also look at due diligence, and first of all, the importance of due diligence. What is the importance, and how does it just contribute towards this whole idea?
The importance of due diligence as a buyer or someone who's looking to invest is just to make sure that your money is secure what you're investing is secure, that you'll actually get the benefits for it. So it's a very important practice, and I think it's a practice that Kenyans have now had to go back and do because of the issues we've faced in real estate. Initially, maybe if someone came and told you they have a piece of land somewhere, you just buy it on the trust, yeah? But then we've had a lot of erosion of that trust. So it's now necessary for the buyer to do some background check, yeah? So some of the things you'd need to do in due diligence are, of course, check the title. If you're buying land or if you're buying a house, make sure that it actually exists, that property. And then, of course, things like land search, that it exists and it belongs to that person. Things like statutory approvals. Are they allowed to actually do this thing that they are doing? Are they allowed to divide the land in these ways that they are dividing? Because you may get into a situation where you find yourself, you've bought the land, you've built on it, and then the government is telling you this land can't be like in eighths or quarters. So you're losing a lot. So a lot of due diligence is also on part of the buyer to just make sure they're securing their money. If then you've gotten into an agreement with these people that you're buying with, then it's also good to continue the due diligence. Make sure that if you're depositing money for a product that you haven't yet received, that you're getting frequent updates. That, your money has gone up to this far, this is how much you're doing, we're going to deliver this for you in this time, so that you're also secure in your payments, in your investment.
Yes.
You do notice that also a lot of money coming to Kenya is coming from the diaspora market. These are people who don't have the capability right now to like come into your office and check where's my land.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of, before they invest, they do a lot of due diligence that you're actually going to deliver, and then you keep updating them also that you're going to deliver. Yeah.
And you have spoken about land. Let us also look at the aspect of land. When people are buying land, the spaces that we usually get, especially, you can't get land where you would want it to be. Mostly you get land in far-flung areas where there's really not much development happening. So would you advise someone to do that? And also, what goes behind, especially when it comes to now buying land in an area where it is not developed, but you still trust that it's going to develop maybe in some years to come. So how do you convince someone and tell them, okay, this area is a good area, and do you even do background checks to look at that area and how it's going to be maybe in the coming years? Is it an area that is going to develop?
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's something that even as a buyer, as a seller, you have to do for your clients, because you want to ensure that they get some returns out of what they are putting in. So even for us, when we are looking for land to sell out, we also check what has been happening around the neighborhood, what developments have happened, what are the neighbors doing with their pieces of land. If no one has developed, then surely that would tell you that place won't develop in a while. So also you look at things like what I had mentioned earlier, what the government is doing for that area. So let's say if something is coming up, let's say like a university that has capability to open up an area in very many ways. So then such things also tell you that this place is ripe for something. In terms of you buying land that may look a little way in the distance of developing, then maybe you can look for things like infrastructure. What would be the easiest way for you to cut the time between now and the government actually building a road? Do you need to build an access road? Do you need to get solar panels? For things that would make your land profitable. Yeah.
And also, let us also look at some of the challenges that you've been able to encounter with customers who are trying to buy homes. What are the common challenges that you usually face when someone comes to you and they want to? What are some of the challenges, and how do you think this going forward, someone who comes can make sure that they don't fall into the same challenge?
I think one of the biggest challenges in Kenya in the real estate market is trust, because people have been getting shortchanged on what they bought into versus what they believe. So one of the things we've been really working on is building trust with our buyers and our partners, that we make sure we deliver what we said we'll deliver on time. The other thing may be someone understanding the product that you're trying to give to them.
Yes.
So maybe at times people, especially when you're in the real estate business, people ask, is this house really worth that much? But then when you break it down to someone what goes into it, they also get trust that they're going to get something out of it. Because when I tell you maybe I'm selling you a 2-bedroom at 6.5, like what we have in Rwaka, then someone asks, 6.5 is so much money, but you do understand it's a ready house. All you're going to do is your furniture. We've got a new water, infrastructure, everything else is done for that house. And for that area, if then you calculate investment yields, you'll find that it's going to give you some percentage of return. So such things also help to give comfort to the buyer or to the investor that they're actually putting their money in something that's worth it.
All right, and also let's move on and look at financing options. Are there financing options for someone who would want to buy a home?
Yeah, the government is doing a lot in that, especially because of the affordable housing agenda that's coming up, that we need to give Kenyans decent housing. So other than the normal bank mortgages, there's something else the government has come with that is called, it's a refinanced mortgage. So it's called KMRC, it's Kenya Mortgage Refinancing Company, where the government is using SACCOs, because SACCOs have the money, as I had said. Then if you want to buy a house, you can save with the SACCO and you're eligible for a mortgage that's at a cheaper price. So the cap right now has been put at 8 million for Kenyans. So anything between zero, of course there's no house at zero, 0 to 8 million, you can be financed using that. So yeah, there have been a lot of financing options, and of course now there's the normal bank loans where you can just approach a bank, get a loan and buy a house, or get a mortgage and buy a house. And
also now in this financing, what is the eligibility? Is there an eligibility criteria that is used, or is just anyone who comes and they want to get financing, they just get? Take us through the eligibility.
It depends on the product you're looking for, but of course there's an eligibility criteria they use. Of course, having a sustainable source of income really helps, because that gives security to the person who's giving you the money that you'll actually be able to pay. Another thing they ask for, which is very crucial, is the real house. So they don't insure, or they don't finance against an off-plan. So what they would do is they would ask you to get an undertaking with them, like an arrangement that if this house is going to be complete by July, then we will give you the money at July. So that also the financier is comfortable that it's against a particular asset, which is very normal. But beyond that, I think the government is also opening it up for the informal sector, that even though you don't have like a regular salary coming in, if you have some regular amount of money coming in, like what they are doing with Boma Yangu, then you're eligible for some house and also a financing option on that.
So is there a difference when someone is buying a home for rent, and also buying a home to live in, especially for themselves, and which is not for rent? Just take us through this so that at least the customers can understand what this is all about, when you're buying a home for rent and when you're buying a home for yourself.
Yeah, of course there's a great difference, and I think it's even when you're buying a home for yourself to live in, it's a very emotional decision as well. So it's something visionary for your family. So you're looking at things like, will my kids have good schools next to them? Is it so far away from our workplaces? So you center your decision around what's around you and how your family is at that point, security wise, what you want to be doing for the weekends, if you want your kids to join maybe sports clubs, so you want something that's near there. When you're buying something to invest in, then you're looking at it more as a product. So it's something you want to market, and you don't want to market it so much so that you're able to get some return from it. So you're looking at areas maybe with high traffic, so that you get tenants coming in. You're looking at areas with maybe young people, universities, because these ones are a sure bet. And then of course there's something in Kenya called, you should always, if you're buying to rent, you should just be 1 matatu away from town. Because the normal person who rents mostly uses public means. So you don't want to rent and then they have to use 3 matatus to get home. So location is a really crucial issue when you're buying in both cases, but more so when you're buying to rent, because you want this thing to sell itself. So you're looking at areas where it's highly developed, there is a lot of people looking to live there, and it's really close to town, because that means a person can work there, can just run back home using 1 matatu, especially if they are the young people, they want to go out at night and still know that they can just take an easy Uber and get home. So those are the crucial factors.
All right, and finally, even as we wrap up this conversation, when the economy is at a crunch, like where we are right now, where prices are up, VAT is where it is, how does this affect does it have an effect on the cooperative sector, especially when it comes to investing? Does it affect the number of people who maybe want to come in and buy homes? What would you say?
Yes, it has an effect. But then, because of course people are more cautious in what they spend on, because they don't have that much to spend in the first case. Yeah? But then what you have to do, or what you've done at SIC, is to make sure that we are really delivering a value for our clients. So you have to refine your products more. So let's say if you're just offering land, because guys, you have to convince them to buy your land more, or if it's just a house, then you do more. So if it's for land, you do for them a fence, you do for them access roads, you make sure there's security, there's some sort of master plan around, so they're buying into something valuable. If it's a house, then you're giving them more than just the house. You're giving them connectivity to like Wi-Fi, you're giving them generators. So it's actually also helped the market to get more quality for what buyers would buy in than if we were really liquid right now. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Daniela.
Thank you so much.
We've come to the end of the show, and I believe I need to come and get a home, right?
Please do. We have the Miran, and we have, let me just say, we have the Miran residence. It's in Ruaka, and we have a show house ready, and it's actually been running on KTN, so you're welcome to come and visit.
Okay, all right, there you have it. That is Daniela Nyakuraya, who is a housing unit manager at Safaricom Investment Corporation, speaking to us about you owning a home and what you need to do in order for you to become a home owner. Right, we've come to the end of business today. My name is Kelvin Nyakundi. Stick around. BUA KTN is coming up next.